under my jeans was now dripping into my boots. It's negative 17 degrees, and I was walking through the snow with wet socks. Great. I trekked 20 minutes across the vast tundra that is known as the Penn State campus to the student lot at the outskirts of civilization. Got into my car, turned the keys. Dead battery, frozen, of course. The few friends that I had were gathering to play some board games that night, but I texted them and let them know that I wouldn't be able to make it. I got out of my car and I walked back. Past the football stadium with all the cheering fans, past frat row, all the raucous noises coming from there. Not my scene. I walked home, alone and cold. I didn't belong there. I'd only been there for 6 months, but I already knew that I didn't like the weather, I didn't like the people, and I just needed to get out. I wanted to transfer to another school, so I started looking up other engineering programs. UCLA, $60,000 out of state. Berkeley, $60,000. USC, $75,000. Impossible. I was trapped. So I closed those depressing tabs, and I opened YouTube, and I spent the rest of the night binging YouTube videos. In fact, I spent the better part of the next 4 years binging YouTube videos. I was depressed, I was unmotivated, I was trapped. But after 4 years, there was a light at the end of the tunnel. I could graduate, I could get a job, I could go wherever I want. The problem was I didn't have very good grades, and I didn't have an impressive internship experience, but I had time, a lot of free time. And so I spent that free time crafting 5 graphically unique versions of my resume, writing a bunch of different cover letters, researching, cutting down to a short list of 45 different companies in California and Colorado that I might want to work at. I spent all of my money going to a conference in California, asking companies, hey, I'm in town, can I interview with you? I got 4 interviews, and each of them told me, we'll get back to you in a week. But a week passed. A month passed, 2 months. Then in January, one of them offered the position. It was the most exciting day of my life. It's an engineering position out in San Francisco. And of course, it was $10,000 below the normal, entry-level salary that you would expect for my position. And it was in overpriced San Francisco, but it was a job. I could go there, I could live there, I could finally escape, get out. And 6 months later, I was there. I was living in San Francisco. I was living in a hacker house. It's the authentic San Francisco experience, right? There's all these people in their mid-20s, coding by day and playing Super Smash Brothers by night and living in bunk beds together. It's the real deal. I had finally found my people. And I was exactly where I wanted to be. I would walk to work every day in the sun. I joined a climbing gym, and I made a ton of friends at the hacker house, and I stopped going to the gym. And I spent most of my evenings mindlessly binging YouTube videos. And I neglected my friends. I stopped taking care of myself. I didn't know what was wrong with me, right? When I was in school, I had all this stress about the weather, the culture, my own social isolation. All of those problems were fixed now, but my stress and my anxiety, they hung around. They just found new targets. Now all of a sudden, it was my boss and my job. I could have been making 50% more at any other company. I was getting offers for 50% more. I'd take them to my boss, hey, give me a raise. Nope, nope, nope. I was living in this tiny, overcrowded apartment with 60 other people. There was no privacy, and I was paying way too much money to be bunking with somebody else. So, I got a nicer apartment. I found a better job. And every point along this journey, I always thought, this is it. This is the one. This will fix me. Once I get this, then I will finally achieve happiness. I will stand on the mountaintop, and I will want nothing else till I die. But happiness couldn't be achieved. The closer and closer I got, the further and further the goalposts moved. And about this time, which is about now, I started noticing some of the behaviors of my fiancée who I was living with. And she would take out a journal before she went to bed every night and write down all the things that made her happy that day. That every day she would tell me how much she appreciated me and how happy she was that I was in her life. She'd go out of her way to create and maintain social relationships. She'd spend a lot of time just expressing gratitude for all of the great things in her life. And I began to realize that there were a lot of great things that I had in my life. I had a loving family that, raised me. I had been given the opportunity to go to college. Most people weren't born into a socioeconomic class where they're given that opportunity. I had a fiance and a dog and friends and incredible good looks. And all of these things had been filed away on a shelf in the back of my brain, gathering dust. And my whole strategy was to go out into the world and get more things to file away onto that dusty shelf. And as soon as I realized that that's what I was doing, it became much less of a mystery why I wasn't happy. See, I began to realize that happiness isn't a trophy. It's not something that can be achieved or held onto. And it's not something you find out there. Happiness is something that's cultivated in here. And it starts with expressing gratitude.